That night, while Stanley and his family were sleeping in their beds, something strange and unexpected happened in the playroom. The room was dark and eerily quiet. Nothing stirred but a curtain that shivered now and then in a cold night draft. In the deep midnight stillness, the ticking of a clock down the hall seemed to echo like a banging gavel through the upstairs rooms. And it was a digital clock. A full moon shone in through the window. As it rose in the sky, a shaft of moonlight crept slowly across the floor, until in the deepest, darkest part of the night, its moonglow shone at last on a heap of toys in a corner. Something stirred in the depths of the pile. Suddenly, the toys at the top were pushed aside, and something began to emerge from underneath. Somewhere, a scream of terror ripped through the night. Not in this story, mind you, but somewhere. And then, from under the pile of toys, Zombiekins slowly arose. Fourth grader Stanley Noodleman lives in the peaceful little town of Demented Evil. But when he purchases an unusual stuffed animal, some strange mix between a bunny and a teddy bear, with the claws of a lizard and the fangs of a vampire, at Old Widow Imovitch's yard sale, the town becomes anything but peaceful. This excerpt is the first scene of toy-related carnage inflicted by the undead stuffy Zombiekins by Kevin Bolger. A voice rang out in the dark. "Ooh, I feel hungry, Snuggly." It was Whimsy the Food, a teddy bear that went around wearing nothing but a sweater, sitting on his frumpy rump at the tidy tea table. Zombiekins started to cross the room, one leg swiveling on its teddy bear joint, the other dragging like a dead limb. Stomp. Screech. Slowly and steadily, Zombiekins advanced across the playroom, driven by some dark, unknown purpose. "A holiday keeps the frownies away," Whimsy enthused. Stomp. Screech. "Hugs are rosy cozy," the bear went on in its whimsically winsome way. "Hugs make me feel fuzzy wuzzy in my ear." A moment later, Whimsy lay silenced on his side. Fluffy, stuffy guts spilled from a slashy gash in his rum-tum-tummy, oozing onto the floor in a sorry, gory mess. Elsewhere in the playroom, another toy broke into an inappropriately cheerful song. "Floating along on a birthday cake upon a raspberry soda public, surrounded by chocolate sundae mountains, candy cane ripples and butterscotch fountains." It was Benny, the singing dinosaur. Zombiekins turned and began walking stiffly towards the source of the music. "We'll merry-go-round the dreamy day long." Stomp. Screech. "Singing our birthday cake robot songs." Stomp. Screech. "Go for a swim with the itty-bitty fishes." Stomp. Screech. "Tickling our toesies like mommy's." There was a loud shower of sparks, and a severed dino head rolled away into a corner, where it went on singing like a broken record. "Swim with the fishes, swim with the fishes." Zombiekins turned toward another corner of the playroom. "Shlemma, what's up?" whimpered a furry orange toy, far too adorable to be called a monster. Its voice was high-pitched and tinny, like some pre-adolescent chipmunk. "Up, up! Shlemma, what's up?" Zombiekins started walking. Stomp. Screech. "Shlemma doesn't want to play right now," the cute and cuddly monster simpered. Stomp. Screech. "Up, up! Shlemma, what's up, up?" The toy, too adorable to really be called a monster, begged in its teeny, tiny voice. But there was no one to hear it. Stomp. Screech. "Shlemma wants, Shlemma doesn't." The next morning, Stanley was yanked out of sleep bright and early by an alarm clock with no snooze button. The cold, wet nose of his dog, Fetch. "Ah," Stanley grumbled, rolling over. "Go away. Sleeping." But Fetch just climbed halfway onto Stanley's bed, barking and licking Stanley's face. Moments later, Fetch was dragging Stanley down the hall to the playroom. Stanley wasn't prepared for the grisly scene of toy room tragedy he found there. The floor was strewn with bits of savage stuffies, teddy bears with the stuffing ripped out of them, decapitated dinos, a dismembered Slummo. Stanley just stood in the doorway, speechless. At first, he was too stunned to understand what had happened. Then, it started to sink in. Bad Fetch! Most people assumed Fetch was dumb just because he was always doing things like licking frozen fire hydrants. But Stanley knew Fetch was smarter than everybody thought. If only his family had named him Fido or Spot, maybe he wouldn't have flunked out of obedience school, and things might have been different. As it was, no wonder the poor dog had been confused, with everybody yelling, "Sit, Fetch!" and "Stay, Fetch!" and "No, not on the teacher's shoe, Fetch!" at him all the time. But boy, that dog had really done it this time. When Stanley's mom found out about this, she was going to send Fetch to a farm for sure, just like she was always threatening. Stanley gave Fetch a dirty look. But instead of drooping his ears and putting his tail between his legs in heartfelt canine remorse, Fetch just pointed to zombie kids sitting unharmed in the middle of the crime scene. Well, Stanley thought with relief, at least his toy had been spared. He took Zombiekins and put it in his school bag by the front door. Then he went back to the playroom, gathered the remains of the other stuffies into a box, and hid them under his bed before he left for school. He didn't want Fetch to get sent to a farm. After all, the poor dog couldn't help it if he had been born stupid.